My name's Dave DiMillo. Many of you know me. I run our consulting team globally. I mentioned that yesterday for Gemalto. So I work with our largest customers, and over the past few years, we've really grown the business, particularly in what we call our high-end, working with more enterprise customers. And a few things that we've learned along the way was some of the challenges around distributing software licenses through a multi-tier distribution network, right? And so what we've done, I'll make this rather tactical today. We've developed a new channel portal. We have a demo of it outside. Many of you had stopped and looked at it to kind of dig into the details. So I'm not going to go through it screen by screen. But I think today what I'm going to do is just talk about the approach that we took for the channel portal, some of the things that we designed into it to give you flexibility if you wanted to go down that path, and some things that I would recommend thinking about as you consider how you're moving software entitlements through your channel network. All right, so channel strategy. Of course, everybody has a channel strategy. This slide is pretty simple. You know, when I use this to introduce some of the terms that we're talking about. So in general, when we're talking about a sales channel, it's a reseller or another party between the vendor and the end customer. So I'll use the word vendor to represent your customers, your company. A reseller, somebody in the middle like a VAR or some kind of retailer. And where things get extra interesting is when we have multi-tier, meaning let's say a distributor who buys from the vendor and then sells to a reseller who then sells to the end customer. Okay, fine. People have been doing this for years, but when you are shipping software, particularly if you're a hardware company and you're shipping boxes out to that network, okay, that's fine. But when you're shipping software that requires license activation, things get interesting, right? Because the vendor oftentimes doesn't know who the reseller is, and they surely don't know who the end customer is most of the time, right? And then but the end customer would have to go back to the vendor to activate the software. So how the heck does a vendor know who the end customer is, because they're not their customer? So that's the challenge, right? And so what we tried to do, again, is to build a portal that would allow the distributor and the reseller to move goods, to move software entitlements, right, from company to company, to allow the distributor to, actually, I think I have a slide on this. Here we go. What we heard from vendors, we did a lot of interviews over the past year plus, working with HP, and I work with Juniper and Trimble and so forth. So what we heard is distributors, what do they need? They need the ability, to buy software licenses in bulk from the vendor and then sell pieces of those licenses off to resellers or maybe even end customers. And of course, they want to view across those resellers, right? So a guy that works with a distributor wants to know what does reseller A, B, and C have for licenses and what's active and maybe what's not. Okay, and then from the reseller, same type of need that they have with purchasing from the distributor. They may purchase on behalf of an end customer, but they also may purchase in bulk. And then they need to be able to split them up, assign them to the end customer, right? And meanwhile, the entitlement is still associated with the vendor. So now, at the end of the day, the end customer can activate the software, and the vendor still has some kind of control over it. Okay, any questions so far? Yeah. Sure, yeah, sure. Let's just take this example, Chris, right? You've got the distributor who buys, let's say, 1,000 licenses from the vendor, buys them in bulk. One line item, quantity 1,000. And then the distributor goes to the reseller at the top in blue, and he sells 100 of those, that same product, to the reseller. Okay, so he wants to split off 100 of his software license inventory when that vendor makes a sale, or the distributor makes a sale. Okay. So here's what we learned in talking to, again, multiple large enterprises, is that every vendor's distribution network is different, okay? So what does that mean? If we're building a portal for you folks, it's got to be flexible, because what works for Trimble is not going to work for Juniper, what works for Juniper is not going to work for NetInsight, et cetera. And so I have to give you flexibility, and I think we tried to do that. But the biggest thing is understanding your channel data model is enormously huge, okay? And not only understanding it, but the last point, it's making the policy decisions up front about how you would allow the software entitlement to move through the channel. And I'm going to use a slide. Bill and I, this is going to look familiar, right? Trimble, the guys at Trimble really helped me, visualize this and kind of make this a reality. And this model was really, really helpful in how we designed our portal. And I've used it in the channel model discussions with other customers, so they say, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. So we have a vendor who may sell to a distributor, or he may sell directly to a reseller. That distributor has users at the top. The distributor going from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock may sell directly to a customer. You may have a reseller that sells to other resellers, okay? And of course, resellers selling to customers. So the trick in setting up a portal, we spent a lot of time with HP in this, is trying to define and really understand the portal visibility rules. Okay, so for example here, let's say, again, the vendor sells to the distributor sells to the reseller sells to the customer, right? In the portal, does the distributor get to see who the customer is? Yes or no, right? So those are just business rules that the vendor needs to decide, working through their channel to say, is my reseller network going to be pissed if the distributors find out who their customers are? Yes or no? Some customers don't care. Some of them very much care, right? So those are the things you have to think through. And what we did in our design is try to make it so that the rules can be changed. All right? Portal workflow rules. Yeah, so what you're allowing the distributor do you allow them to split an entitlement into little pieces or just transfer the whole entitlement? On one of our customers, they didn't want a reseller to be able to split it up, but they did want transfer. Right, so what are those rules? Again, are you going to allow a reseller to sell to another reseller, or do they always have to sell to a customer? Yes or no, blah, blah, blah. As well as understanding what I said at the top in the upper right-hand corner around the entity management rules. Right, what does that mean? So let's just say this reseller one is going to sell to a customer one, right? When they go into the channel portal, which we'll see, let's say this customer one doesn't exist in the vendor's portal, right? Are you going to let a reseller define a new customer in the vendors in your ERP? No, right? So what are the rules around how the end customers are defined in the system and how that transferring actually works? Okay, and could I talk about Trimble here a little bit? And yeah, so one of the things Trimble does, it does nicely, is that their resellers have defined lists of who their customers are. Okay, so reseller one in this case, Trimble knows that reseller one can only sell to customer one and customer two because that's the way their business is, and it's defined in their ERP, so it's easy. Okay, but again, if customer three comes along and customer three isn't in the Trimble system, then right, that's not going to work. So it's those types of things that we had to work through, and we had to put together a design that allowed Trimble to have one set of rules and a different customer to have another. So the use cases that we solve for, they really boil down to these 5. It's, again, as say a distributor, I need to be able to manage my inventory. Again, Chris, I bought 1,000 licenses in bulk and be able to transfer them, pieces of them down the channel as I make a sale. I want to know who my customers are. I want to view across my customer base. I want to be able to view as a reseller, say. a specific customer at the company level. And John from JCI, as far as your field technicians, right? This is the type of view that I think we could easily change the portal to give them is, for a field office, you have a set of known customers, right? They're essentially a channel partner in some sense, right? They need to be able to look up a specific customer and be able to see what they have for entitlements and downloads and activations and so forth, right? So it's that kind of view. And then easily search and so forth. Okay, so here's where we are. What's not new is that EMS does have native support. It's had it for a few years for channel partners. So an entitlement can support up to 5 channel partners. The notion of splitting and transferring that we talked about, it's been in our product for years, okay? And the web services that control all that stuff are native to the product. So that's not new. What is new is that we introduced what we're calling the enhanced partner portal. It's just a refreshed portal that handles those use cases more nicely, if you will. And we're in the final stages of development for it. A year ago, we talked about our new customer portal that we had that was pretty flexible. We took the same approach with the enhanced partner portal. We offer it as a professional services offering, and again, you saw some of that out in the lobby. So this is my slide for our enterprise platform with EMS in the middle, right? ERP talking to EMS, and then the web portals that we're speaking of. Again, 2015, we launched the enhanced customer portal, and now the one I'm talking about is sort of in the 9 o'clock position with the enhanced partner portal. Now, the thing that we do that has proven to be quite a competitive advantage is that the enhanced partner portal and the customer portal are really separated from EMS. It causes some other challenges for us, but it gives you maximum flexibility, right? Because in order to, if you want to change the UI to the partner portal or the customer portal, either of these, we actually give you the source code, right? So if you wanted to change a workflow, you can do it. If you wanted to change the look and feel, you could do it, okay? Or you can just take it out of the box and put your logo at the top. Yeah, you okay? Where are you pointing at? All right, so that's where we are, and that offering is should be done in just a few weeks. I took a few screenshots just to highlight some of the things that I think are pretty good. So this is a customer inventory. If I'm a channel partner, and John, if I'm a field technician, let's say for Johnson Controls, I want to view, I log into the portal, I can see an entitlement view across my customers. So the 5th column over to the right has licenses by customer, okay? There's an export function, so I can just export the whole thing to CSV if I need to, report on the data. It shows me what's activated and what's available, okay? If I'm a distributor and I'm selling to my reseller, it would be a view across my resellers. So I could actually see of those licenses that I sold them, how many are really active and how many are still sitting on the shelf. So if I see that they're all been activated, I can go back and make another sale, okay? Now, but if I'm a reseller and I want to service a customer, let's say I select Juniper, right? So this would be a view for a specific company. So it's a company level view of licenses, activations. We have a device per device view. Do I have that slide? Nope. I'll go back. So it's everything at the company level for activations devices. I can email any previous activations that I've done, and I can download software. So it shows me all the entitlements at the company level, and I can go in and out of a specific entitlement or a specific customer. Okay, so far? Question? Yes, May? Okay. Yep. Yep.
Perspective. selected.
Yes.
Are we able to do that with
Sure.
this portal? Okay.
Sure. It kind of goes back to the data model, right? 'Cause working through all this stuff at this level is huge because reseller one, right? It's just a company, or a customer could be a division of another customer. So it's how you're defining the hierarchy, right? And then you can change the view to say, give me it at the parent company level or the division level. So we should be able to do that.
Okay. So the other question I have around that is, do we have to reset up the customer somewhere within the Gemalto product, or is this using CRM data and leverages the hierarchy that we've actually established within our current ERP or CRM system or other customer registry system?
Yeah, I wouldn't have you change anything in the CRM. It's just at the customer level in EMS, I mean, it's flat. A customer is a customer. However, you can put attributes on it to indicate the parent company.
Okay.
So then we could build the right view. We have a hook. So we
Okay.
could build that view if we needed to.
And in terms of some of your larger customers with a very large, diverse pool of customers and partners, do you typically require some form of master data management, customer data management type of effort before you engage in trying to establish that type of relationship within this type of portal?
Are you asking me how we engage in the data model side?
Yeah, from a prerequisite, is there some form of data quality, data cleansing, master data management type of effort to be able to really leverage this type of feature?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it data cleansing, but the data model is one of the most important things we do when we do an engagement, right?
Okay.
To really try to understand what a customer is, right? How they define what a user is. Can user B also be associated with customer 2? Right? What are the rules? What are your business rules around entity management?
Okay.
Right? What is a channel partner? Can a partner also be a customer if they're, you know what I mean? It's those types of things you have to get high clarity on. And once you do, a lot of the answers just appear as far as how you want to structure the data.
Awesome. Okay,
Right,
thanks, Dave.
All right, so real quick, I think you guys get the point. Again, I get a view across customers. I can drill into a specific customer. I can see activations. I can see devices. I can rehost. I can do the license activation. I can go into an entitlement. Maybe I'm a reseller, and I can download software for my customer. I could activate the software right through this portal, again, as a value-added reseller. Split and transfer, we'll talk about. So I think I have a slide on this. Yeah, split and transfer. The way the portal works is you specify the recipient. So again, I bought 1,000. I want to split off 100 to my end customer or to another partner, whatever. I specify the recipient, and native functioning EMS will say, okay, on this particular entitlement, you can only transfer things that are not active, right, or available. It'll ask you for the quantity of the 150 or the 25 or the 200 that you want to split off. And then when you split it, we'll create a new entitlement that has that recipient as the owner of the entitlement, and then adjust the quantities appropriately. Okay, and obviously the customer gets notified.
But most distributors and channel partners have their own systems.
Yeah?
Pretty old and funky. So you have like APIs that you can connect into their systems so that, or are you expecting them to go in and update this when they update their own system?
I expect them to go in and use this after they make a sale. I have to split off the entitlements, the licenses. But I understand what you're saying now, right? Some of our largest customers, right, their large channel partners make them use their system rather than the vendor system, right? And technically that's possible because, again, we have web services, and if the vendor wanted to modify their system, Ingram Micro wants to modify their system to be able to slice up Juniper entitlements, you could allow them to do it if you wanted to. Right? Okay, so split and transfer, search, very important capability. So, you know, again, I'm a channel partner. I have an end user that calls me up. I should be able to look up by end user, look up by contact, look up by company, and so forth. So we thought, that was one of the primary functions. So it's being able to manage my inventory. What did I buy that's assigned to me? Be able to service my customers. What do my customers have across my customers and for a specific customer, and be able to search. Those are the 3 pillars of functionality we thought were important to solve for. And that's what we have. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll go back to this. Any questions, comments? Sure. Technically, yes. Yeah. The question is, does the portal support, essentially updating the entitlement, right? If let's just say a VAR has a customer who changed their contact information, it's really up to you as the vendor to decide. Remember, there are visibility rules and so forth, and some of the entity management rules. If you want to give your channel partners the ability to change a contact on entitlement, there are web services to do it. So sure, we give you the code for the portal that you can change, and the plumbing on the EMS and the web services that we have and the architecture would allow you to allow your partners to update the entitlement if you want them to. Okay. Hopefully that was clear. All right, thank you all again for everything over the last couple days. You know where to find me.